Oh my god, this is hilarious. Hey guys, story time. Recently, I'd come up with this really weird idea of designing something to where you have a motor and then you have the thing that you want the motor to move. But you don't mount the motor on the thing that you want it to move. You mount the motor somewhere else. Like how our fingers work. The muscles for your fingers are in your arm. And there's just tendons going down to your fingers. Isn't that interesting? So, I went and ordered myself some PTFE tubing, or at least it said it was PTFE, and I ordered myself some fishing line. So the idea is to build a robot with PTFE tubing routing up through the part of the robot that moves, and then fishing line routing up through the PTFE tubing, controlling the joints with a bunch of servos mounted on a big plate. So I'm gonna have 16 servos. It's gonna be awesome. Let's get into it. So here's the mount for the 16 servos, and here's the other part. You'll understand what's going on here a bit better once it's done printing. So yeah, what do you guys think? Should we jump into CAD quick and take a look at this thing while it's printing out? All right, let's go. So right now I've got two sections of this mounted, two sections that move. This bottom one actually doesn't, stationary. So I've got two sections of this mounted, and there's going to be 8 total because there's 16 servos. 2 servos run each section. So I went and I just strung up the rest of these sections through a piece of nylon. Because I'm just really curious how big this is going to be. And it's gonna be this tall. My plan with this thing was to not only make a video with it, but to like bring it to a trade show. But now I'm just imagining a bunch of kids running around and being like, oh, what's this thing? And it, you know. All right, everything's working. Okay, so I ran out of parts to assemble this thing. I basically need to order a lot more of this tube. So I used that as a really good excuse to stop assembling it and start getting the program ready. So what I've done with the program is I've set it up to where I could drive all the joints the same amount, or I can drive an individual joint, individual servos, and then I've also set up a command that should make it appear to be like rotating, like cascading around. So I bet you guys are wondering, Ross, like, what the hell? You said this thing was going to have 8 sections and 16 servos, and right now all you've really hooked up is 10 servos, and you don't even use the other ones. Well, there's a reason for that. 2 reasons, actually. The first reason is that I ran out of that PTFE tubing, and the rest of the tubing won't be here for another week, so it's a little ways out. And the second reason is that my power supply isn't actually big enough to run all of these servos at once. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue. I'm going to have to either order a bigger power supply, which will be expensive and I really don't want to, or I'm thinking I might order like a little 6-volt battery and use it as like a buffer so that you could run the thing for maybe 15-20 minutes and then you have to shut it off, let the battery charge for an hour. And maybe just trickle charge the battery with the power supply while it's running. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do there, but I'm going to find a way to make it work. So once I get the rest of the tubing in, and once I get the rest of the stuff in that I need to make it run, I'm going to go ahead and make one more video about this thing, maybe 2, we'll see, with all the joints on it. And I'm also going to give you guys an opportunity to program this thing. So I'm going to go through some of the details of how you program this thing, some of the constraints that I'm going to put on it, to write your own program for it, post it in the comments section, and I'll take that code, run it on the robot, maybe tack your name on the screen somewhere, and let you see the code that you wrote to run this thing. Hey, did you guys know that all of my projects are funded through Patreon? And if you come and join us on Patreon, you'll get access to my videos one day before anybody else gets to see them. And you'll get to see this before anybody else gets to see it. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see this next week, you know, if you want to. Hey, thanks for watching.